Want to land your next remote position in healthcare? Remote jobs are the new normal in the healthcare industry, and today I am going to talk to you about how to successfully secure the interview well, and land that remote job. Are you ready to get into it? Let's go. What's up everyone? Tiffany Robinson here from Beyond RCM, Revenue Cycle Management here in the state of New York, and I am really excited to get into today's topic. Now, as you know, for the month of February, if you haven't guessed already, we are focused on the remote workers. And today I want to share our latest RCM roundup on how to successfully interview for a remote position. Now, there are many companies that are offering remote work in the healthcare industry. And this is particularly prevalent in the back office functions such as medical billing, medical coding, prior authorization, insurance verification, insurance collections, etc. There are tons of remote positions that are available on the job market right now as we speak, but you have to, number one, demonstrate that you have the proficiency to secure these positions, and number two, make sure that you interview well to land the position, and of course, number three, which is the most important part, make sure that you are able to be successful once you are given that opportunity. So today we're going to talk about that second part, that part where we're talking about interviewing the right way, interviewing for a strong presentation to secure your role in the industry. Step number one, you want to do your interview preparation. You want to thoroughly research the company that you are applying to be employed by. You want to understand the company structure. You want to understand what the company specializes in. You want to make sure that when you show up at that interview, you have a full understanding of the company that you are applying to be employed by. The other thing you want to make sure that you do is you understand the specific job function for which you're applying for. If you're applying, for example, for a medical collector position, you want to understand what are the common pitfalls or scenarios that a medical collector professional in that industry would encounter and how to address those issues. The other thing you want to do, obviously, is as you're preparing for the interview, you want to show up and dress professionally. One thing that I talked about a little bit in my video last week is oftentimes you have individuals who are working remotely and they are under the assumption that just because they're working remotely, they don't have to try as hard, in dressing and showing up on a virtual work environment. That is not the case. Yes, there are major benefits to working remotely. There are major conveniences, but we should not skimp on the convenience of showing up, dressing professionally, and looking professionally, at least from the waist up. Number two, you want to make sure ahead of your interview that you test your tech. Make sure for your virtual interview that you have strong internet speed and internet connection. Make sure that you choose a nice, quiet space where you can do your interview that is well lit. If you can afford to do so, I'm a big fan of ring lights. Invest in a ring light so that when you show up on that interview, the person who is interviewing you, can see your beautiful face, can see a nice, well-lit background. Believe it or not, lighting plays a big role in setting the mood and the ambiance for the interview. The other thing you want to consider is getting a virtual background. Many platforms like Zoom, Google Meets, Teams offer virtual backgrounds that you can add while you're doing your interview. So definitely consider picking a pretty cool professional virtual background that you can use as a background aesthetic while you are conducting your interview. Number three, many times when you go into interviews, the person that is interviewing you will ask you to give them some scenarios of tasks that you were able to resolve similar in nature from a previous employer or previous experience that you can bring to this industry or this job. I recommend using the STAR approach. The STAR approach involves describing the situation at hand, the task that was needed to resolve the situation at hand, the actions that you took to resolve the situation at hand, and then the desired results. So think of STAR when you are given an example of your professional experience in the past and how you can bring that information into the interview. You can even use STAR if you don't have a lot of professional experience, and maybe your experience is by way of volunteering or through your academic studies to get into your professional role. So I'm going to give you an example of how to give a STAR response.
Hey, what's up? Just stopping by really quick to make a quick ask. We've been reviewing our data analytics, and we've noticed that we have tons of new individuals checking out our channel, which is geared towards all things healthcare. However, many of our viewers are not subscribed to our channel. Subscribing to our channel allows our content to go into the proper algorithms so that we can spread knowledge related to the healthcare industry to all those who are interested or looking for guidance. So can you do me a favor? If you haven't done so already, can you please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell? That allows our information to get into the hands of those who truly need it. Thank you so much for helping us out in this way. Let's continue being great together.
Let's say, for example, you are applying for a role as a medical collector, and your interviewer is asking you to describe a manner in which you were able to resolve issues related to medical necessity denials from your previous employer. The way you would use the STAR approach would be, number one, you would describe the situation. The situation would be something along the lines of, my organization noticed that we were receiving a number of denials from a specific insurance company for lack of medical necessity. Next is the task. The task at hand for me was to identify what the root cause of these denials were. Were these denials merited, or had the insurance company, in fact, incorrectly denied our claims, resulting in erroneous denials? It was up to me to research all of the documentation on my end that would substantiate medical necessity to help get the claims paid. Action. I then began to review the medical records and clinical documentation with the medical provider and letter of medical necessity and other data points that would support medical necessity. Once I was able to obtain all that information, I was able to draft a very thorough, detailed response to the insurance company claim rejections, citing how their claim rejections were in fact invalid and that the patients in question had met medical necessity. Results. As a result of the steps that I took, I was able to get all of the claims that were previously denied, reprocessed, and paid for the provider. That is a great example of explaining your professional experiences using the STAR approach. So think of STAR as you are describing your previous work history. STAR also helps you to stay focused and not kind of go rambling off on a tangent. So remember, situation, task, action, result. And if you stick to that method, you'll be able to talk about your previous experiences in a very concise way. Number 4, be sure to finish strong. You want to always have at least 1 to 2 questions that have nothing to do with compensation that are related to the job for which you're applying to. Now, don't get me wrong, compensation is an important discussion to have, so by no means am I telling you not to discuss compensation. What I am saying is you do want to bring up questions that are unrelated to compensation. So questions such as, what are some of the challenges the department that I'm joining has been facing in the past several months? Another great question would be, what type of practice management system is the organization currently using? Or are they using any additional add-on features to help manage their RCM functions? Those are some really great questions. Another great question you can ask is, what type of training is typically provided to new hires when they join the organization? Asking questions related to the position that you are applying for gives the employer a sense that you are truly invested in the position for which you are interviewing for. Number 5. Be sure to follow up. Within 24 hours of your interview, you want to reach out to the employer and let them know that you really enjoyed your interview with them and you're excited at the possibility of potentially joining their team. And that's it. Those are some simple steps that you can take to make sure that you interview like a rock star for your remote position. You want to make sure that you do your research on the organization. You want to make sure that your tech and your background and your lighting is on point. When you get into that interview, you want to make sure that you are answering your questions in a very thoughtful and concise manner. I recommend the STAR approach. And you want to also make sure that in addition to answering questions, that you are asking questions that will be of interest to the employer and the person that is interviewing you. And last but not least, the pièce de résistance. You want to make sure that you send a follow-up email thanking the employer for taking the time to interview you. I hope you found this information useful. If you have, I want to encourage you, if you have not done so already, to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'm really excited for our next upcoming RCM Roundup. You guys have been asking for a video about the day in the life of an RCM director, moi, and I believe we're gonna put that video out next week, so you wanna stay tuned and come back here next week for our next Roundup. My name is Tiffany Robinson from Beyond RCM, aka Coach Tiff. I wanna thank you for taking the time to hang out with me today, and I will see you in our next RCM Roundup. Bye.